Have you ever looked at one of those glossy travel packages and just wondered, what's actually going on behind the scenes? Well, today we're doing exactly that. We're taking a classic 6-day Kashmir tour, and we're going to deconstruct it piece by piece. We'll look at the day-by-day plan, the real costs, and what you actually get to experience. So let's jump right in. So this is really the big question we're trying to answer here, isn't it? 6 days. Is that enough time to really get a feel for a place as vast and incredible as Kashmir? This itinerary promises a whirlwind tour of some of the biggest highlights. So let's follow the map and see if it holds up. Okay, so here's the game plan at a high level. It's a pretty classic route, you know? You start in Srinagar, you do this loop out to 3 legendary spots, Pahalgam, Gulmarg, and Sonamarg, and then you end up right back where you started. Each of these places is a huge destination in its own right, so packing them in one after the other, well, it's going to be a pretty busy trip. All right, let's kick things off with the first leg of the journey. The first 48 hours are all about getting your bearings. You'll arrive in the city, get settled, and then escape out to the countryside, to the famous Valley of Shepherds, Pahalgam. So day 1 is designed to be super smooth. You land at the Srinagar airport, a representative from the tour company meets you, and boom, you're whisked away to your hotel or maybe even a classic houseboat. After you check in, the rest of the day is totally yours to just settle in and start soaking up the vibe. And for your first evening, they've got some classic Srinagar experiences lined up. You can take a walk along the famous Dal Lake, maybe poke around the local markets. And here's a really nice touch. They include a free 1-hour ride on a Shikara boat. Honestly, that's the perfect way to say hello to Kashmir. Day 2 is when the adventure really kicks into gear. After breakfast, you're leaving the city hustle behind and hitting the road to Pahalgam, also known as the Valley of Shepherds. This is your first real taste of the stunning Kashmiri countryside. And you know, the drive itself is a huge part of the experience. You'll pass right by the famous saffron fields of Pampore, you'll see all these beautiful apple and walnut orchards, and just get those classic highway views. There's even an optional little pit stop at a bat factory. Pretty cool if you're a cricket fan. And here we go. This is the first and maybe most important fine print moment. Once you get to Pahalgam, the car that drove you from Srinagar can't actually take you to see the main sites like the beautiful Aru Valley or Betaab Valley. To see those, you have to hire a local taxi yourself, and that's an extra cost. This is a really critical detail to remember for your budget. Okay, moving into the heart of the trip. Days 3 and 4 are all about Kashmir's world-famous meadows. We're talking about 2 absolute legends, Gulmarg, the Meadow of Flowers, and then Sonamarg, the Meadow of Gold. So on the morning of day 3, you'll be traveling from Pahalgam all the way over to Gulmarg. Now, this place is famous for a reason. It's often called one of the most beautiful hill stations in all of Asia, and it's pretty much a non-negotiable highlight on any trip to Kashmir. When you get there, the plan is beautifully simple. Just soak it all in. You check into your hotel, and then you're free to just wander across those incredible rolling green meadows. You can just enjoy the scenery and breathe in that amazing, crisp mountain air. But, and this is a big but, if you want to experience the star attraction of Gulmarg, that incredible gondola cable car ride, well, that's an extra cost. Same goes for any of the adventure sports, like ATV rides or skiing, which obviously depend on the season. So again, some of the biggest activities are optional extras. Day 4 means another beautiful drive, this time heading to Sonamarg. This place is known for a totally different kind of beauty. It's more stark, more dramatic. You've got these meadows that can look golden in the right light, and you're getting really close to some of the major Himalayan passes. And you've probably guessed it. We're seeing that same pattern again. Just like in Pahalgam, the main things to see in Sonamarg, like the Thajiwas Glacier or the famous Zero Point, they require separate local transport. This means you'll need to hire a pony for the glacier track or a local union taxi for the pass. And both of those are extra costs you'll have to cover right then and there. Okay, we are now on the home stretch of this tour. The last couple of days are all about making our way back to the capital, enjoying one last evening in the city, and then, sadly, heading home. So, after spending the morning in Sonamarg, you'll hop back in the car and drive back to where this whole adventure started, Srinagar. You'll check into a hotel for your final night, which gives you one last opportunity to experience the city. Your last evening is totally unstructured. It's all yours. You could do some last-minute souvenir hunting, find a cool little cafe to hang out in, or maybe you loved that boat ride so much you want to take another one. Just remember, a second Shikara ride would be on your own dime this time. And finally, we have day 6. After one last breakfast, the tour officially comes to an end. The good news is, the package does include your transfer back to the Srinagar airport. And from there, it's time to head home with all your photos and memories. So let's really pull this all together and spell it out. What are you actually paying for with this package? What's included? Well, you get your hotels, most of your meals, breakfast and dinner, and your main private car that takes you between the big locations. But what's not included is absolutely crucial. We're talking your flights to get there, any entry tickets, the Gulmarg Gondola, and most importantly, all of those local union taxis and pony rides that you need to access the main sites in Pahalgam and Sonamarg. All right, now for the question on everyone's mind. What does a package like this actually cost? Let's take a look at the numbers. So you've basically got two main options here. If you go with the 3-star hotels, the cost comes out to 53,000 rupees per person. If you want to upgrade to the 4-star deluxe hotels, that price bumps up to 63,000 rupees per person. And it's super important to remember, these prices are based on 2 people sharing a room. So the magic number to keep in your head is that starting price, 53,000 rupees per person. That's your entry point for the 6-day trip, which covers your stay, your main transportation, and most of your food. And that, of course, is before you start adding on all those essential local trips, tickets, and activities we talked about. And that really brings us to the final ultimate question, doesn't it? A package tour like this offers a ton of convenience, right? It handles all the big logistics for you, but it also means you're on a pretty set path, and there are some significant extra costs for the biggest experiences. So the real takeaway here is to ask yourself, does this kind of structured, guided journey fit my personal travel style? And that's the one question that only you can answer.